Hi, friends. Welcome to Enlightened World Network. I'm Dr. Ruth Anderson here with the Meditation a Day. Today, our amazing guest meditator is Eileen Murray. She's joining us from Canada, and she does such amazing, deep work. I can't wait for you to get to know her. Eileen, thank you so very much for being here today. And I'm just going to let you start whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Ruth. Hello, everyone. Well, we're in a time in the world where it can be exciting. And so we're going to open with that in the relationship of our divine self and what that means as oneness being expressed in what has come to me over the years as the new creation. And I'd like to just give a bit of a background for you as we move into the meditation so that there's an understanding of where I'm really coming from with this. So I'd invite you to close your eyes and simply open to what you're experiencing within your body and around your body as we go through the different steps of exploring and opening. We've heard about oneness. There's one life. And what does that really mean? What does it mean that we are our divine self? What does it mean when we talk about our human self? So how this has been taught to me and revealed in my own life experience is that the human mind is conditioned by all the thoughts and beliefs that have happened through the collective consciousness from the beginning of time. And we were born into this. We were born into the human condition. And we were born to and introduced through our school system, our heritage, and all other ways, advertising, teachings of what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad. That's all within the human story. Behind all form, behind the human story, behind the form that we are as a body, is that eternal light, the essence, our soul. And that's where we're going to dwell today and open to this in relationship to our life. And as we walk through the human story in the human condition, as our light, as our essence. And so we're switching our identity from I have this condition and this is happening to me, and this is my story, which is the human story, to I am our divine self. I am one with spirit. And all that spirit is within I am. So breathe and open to that. Drop from the mind and expand. And what happens if you drop the picture of yourself as a human body? What happens if you drop and allow that body simply to expand and expand as light? And feel what happens. And then what happens if you bring your attention down into the earth as you would normally do? We think of the earth and we're bringing our attention down into the center of the earth as form. And just be aware of what's happening. We're not changing anything, we're observing. And now we bring our attention back to our essence, to our light. And we bring our attention now into the heart of the new earth, the new creation. To its essence. And experience what that is. It's that which gives the earth form as its essence, as its light. And as that essence and light, does it stop anywhere? Are there boundaries? See that light as yourself, as your true self. Does that light, that essence have boundaries? And breathe. Would you be willing to declare for yourself, this is who I am. This is my true identity. And this identity as light and essence gives itself form as this form that I've known, but is governed not by the conditioned mind, by the conditioning, but is governed by this light, this pure, unconditioned light. And now think of the rest of your day and things that you have to do. And see that light, that presence, that light that you are, that presence that you are, being there in those situations as this light. And what is the difference between being there as this light and being there as the human self? Feel the difference. And realize I have the power to choose to be here as this light, as this self, this divine self, my soul consciousness. And all the invisible realms that are aligned as this oneness with this are here supporting. And then what happens if I fall out of this and I'm back in duality, being human, and I catch myself? I can choose to say, that's not who I really am. I am choosing to stay open to who I am. I really am. And even if I feel myself in judgment, I realize that is a limitation of the human story. And I can bring that presence, that light, to that pattern of judgment. And what happens when I do it that way? I'm not denying what's going on. I'm just not choosing to accept it. Or if I have fallen, I bring the awareness of that presence to that aspect of having fallen. And notice what's happening within you and around you as you do this. And say you have to take some medication. What would happen if you bring this light to the medication and ask that light, that wholeness that is all light, to align that medication to the body? And breathe. And then what happens if I'm not feeling well? I feel nauseous or I have a headache. I remember who I am and I bring that presence and that light to the pattern of the headache or the nausea without rejecting it, repressing it. We're bringing presence and the wholeness to that situation. And what happens then if all of those conditions have been teachers as pointers to help me realize who I really am? And then let's extend that to the greater circumstances that are happening in the world, in our country. When someone is in opposition to what I believe, as this one light, that light lives within our friends and our so-called enemies. And we can ask that light to be present there with them and as them. And it doesn't mean we don't address a circumstance, but we can address it from this greater presence if we're called to. And if there's anger or hatred there, do I want to give my power away to anger and hatred? And if it's too much, I can ask the divine self to flow through me, to be present to that person and that pattern of anger or hatred. Only the one who's there in truth. At the other level of consciousness, duality is existing. But I am being called to bring presence to that as it flows through me. And as we do this, we are opening to greater and greater aspects of our divine nature. We stay open and empty to the love and the light and the wisdom that is there as aspects of our divine nature. And out of that, the new is born moment by moment. Heaven can be revealed more fully, moment by moment. And I stay open and empty to the fullness that can reveal itself in the unknown as the divine mind. Not anything that my conditioned mind, my human mind can understand. The human mind cannot understand the divine mind. And feel the power of the light that is this body, this divine, eternal body. That is the light of the earth, of the new creation. And we say yes. I am that. There is the one infinite light expressing itself moment by moment. And all the invisible realms that are in alignment with this are here to support us. And those in physical form are here in that alignment as well. And we open more to that fullness revealing itself. Through all of creation. And wherever we meet a limitation and become aware of it, we simply say, that is limited. I'm not buying into that. I'm being present as the light with that. And I am the truth and the wisdom and the light and the joy and the peace of the great I am. And we give thanks that it is so. And we see the oneness of that light permeating and revealing through all of creation as a radiance. And it is so. And when you feel ready, to bring your attention into your eyes and open when it feels comfortable.
Eileen, your ministry is so sacred. Thank you so very much for sharing that. Can we talk a little bit about, you mentioned the patterns of anger and hatred, and the patterns of the headache or the patterns of the nausea. Can we just talk about those patterns for a minute?
Sure. Well, they're constructs that are a part of our conditioning. Like, that doesn't exist in spirit. And it's important that we realize that that's a part of what we've been conditioned and have bought into. That's why miracles can happen in when we know what truth really is. So we're recognizing them as constructs of thought forms and beliefs. A belief is what holds the whole thing together. If I believe that I'm going to be sick, even unconsciously, then that belief has a construct, and it's reinforced in our society. And so the important thing is to realize it as that, and not to beat ourselves up to think I'm less than because that's happening, but to realize what it is. It's at a certain level of consciousness, and to realize in our true nature that doesn't exist, so that we're calling on that true nature to be present to those constructs. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It does. So a thought that comes to me, which goes against much of what many people believe. So I'm just putting it out there for you to comment on and tell me what you think. So does this make sense that whenever we do a healing or a clearing on something, we're buying into the reality of that construct?
Yes, it's true, but we have to be careful because we need to accept what's happening in our life as that. We can still, we're growing in the strength and in the power of the truth of what we really are. So if like you say, if we see it and it's happening, we've bought our energy. Some of our energy is still locked into it. That's what I find really helpful to see. Okay, I'm experiencing this pain. Well, that's not happening in my spirit. That's happening in my belief system, even unconsciously. So I can simply choose to pull my power out of that belief. So it's the belief that is the glue that holds the thoughts that eventually create this, whatever's going on. So if we dissolve, like if there are no beliefs anymore, what's here? Pure light. If we had no beliefs, we just did this exercise, I don't have any beliefs. What's there? There's no thought, right? If you think, okay, I don't have any beliefs, I just dropped them for this moment, there are no beliefs. What's here? I am here. My essence is here. Yeah. And so that's the way that we start to slowly see it. But it's really important, again, not to beat ourselves up about it either, or make a judgment that I'm better than because I'm operating at another level. It isn't. It's a continual revealing of what is true.
I appreciated what you said about if you need to take medicine. And I would say this in the same vein, if you need to take radiation or you need to take chemotherapy or, any other big life medicine, things. Can you talk about that for a second? You talked about recognizing the pattern and bringing light to that vibration.
Yeah. We think that the radiation is going to heal us or whatever, because we believe that, right? So if I'm in a situation where I feel I need to take a pill or have a radiation, I can bring the higher consciousness to that, so that the consciousness of that light can align to the radiation and support my body. But I'm doing it from the perspective of the divine consciousness. That divine light is aligning with that frequency to bring the body, because there have been a lot of stories that you're going to have side effects and you're going to do this, and then we buy into that. So if I still need to do the radiation, I'm not going to pass a judgment, but I'm going to bring this higher consciousness to that, to the medication. You know, in some ways, it's the same principle as when we blessed our food, and we really believe the blessing made a difference. And scientific studies have shown about what thoughts affect water. So we're bringing that frequency, and we're shifting our standpoint.
Yes, because I do so believe those studies about water.
Yeah.
And, you know, friends, if you're not familiar with the studies on water, and is it Emoto? I'm trying to remember the name.
Yeah, Dr. Emoto.
Dr. Emoto. And he would put words on paper and put it next to water. And the words were either really loving and supportive, or you're ugly, you know, I hate you, really kind of negative words. And then he would put those next to it, and then he would freeze the water and then study the ice crystals. And the difference in the ice crystals was really profound. The ice crystals that were next to the loving and kind words were beautiful. They were symmetrical. They were just absolutely stunning. And the other ones looked angry and hurt. It was fascinating. And so the takeaway on that is, what words are you telling yourself? What words are you telling your kids, or, you know, the people that supposedly you love? But surrounding yourself in those higher vibrational, loving thoughts and beliefs.
I just want to add something here that's very important, Ruth. What we're doing with this work is we're shifting our consciousness, because we can stay in duality and have good experiences and bad experiences. What we're doing is becoming more and more aware that our divinity doesn't carry these good and bad. It's beyond that. But we need to be honest about where we are in the moment. But it's the shifting in consciousness that's really important, because people can have healings and then something else can reoccur. So it gets better for a while, but it's still in duality. And so we're breaking the spell from that to realizing in our divinity, there is none of this. And at the same time, we're being present to where we are, but we're shifting our consciousness from human consciousness to our divine nature, while still walking in the world of duality. But I'm not buying it. I'm slowly letting go of buying into that I'm limited. And that's really key, because otherwise we think, what's going on? It was good, and then it was bad, and then it was good and it's bad. But when I realize I'm divine, I'm taking my stance and living from that, even though I'm still participating in this is still happening. And I'm pulling my energy out of the limitations of I'm a limited being to my infinite nature as a divine person being. Yeah.
Yeah. Understood. Excellent.
With love to ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Eileen. Eileen, if folks want to know more about the work that you do, how do they find you?
My website, I have to think about it. It's eileenmurray1.wixsite.com /the new creation.
Excellent. And also her information is here in the description as well. So Eileen, thank you so very much. Always fascinating getting to spend time with you. And friends at Enlightened World Network, thank you. Thanks for coming in, and thanks for allowing yourself to be expanded, to question the things you think you know, and be open to things that maybe are a real stretch for you. So take good care. God bless. We'll see you soon.